The story begins with Kazuma preparing to leave early in the morning to buy his favorite MMO game. But it took 5 hours in line to get it. As he was returning, he saved one of his classmates from an accident and died himself. And ended up in front of the goddess Aqua, who informed him that he had died. And on the contrary, he died the most amusing death ever, because the person he thought he saved wouldn't die because it was a tractor and also very slow. And when he saved her, Kazuya had a heart attack and pissed himself off. After making fun of him, Aqua gave him 2 options, reincarnate or go to heaven. If he reincarnates, he can obtain 1 item to take to another world, such as a power sword or armor, or whatever he desires. So, by that word, Kazuma chose Aqua to accompany him to another world, and now she can only return when she defeats the Devil King with Kazuma. Aqua experienced an emotional roller coaster after being demoted to the human world. Kazuma paid no attention and joined the guild to become an adventurer. They needed a source of income, but they couldn't afford the registration fee, so Aqua tried to show off as a goddess to a man who appeared to be a priest. However, he was a kind man and gave them some money to help them register as adventurers. So when they checked their status, they discovered that Kazuma lacked any skill or power, and his only assets were his luck and brains. Whereas Aqua has an amazing healing skill that could turn her into an arc wizard, she lacks good luck and intelligence. As they level up, they gain points with which they can learn new skills. With that, they began their life in this world doing heavy labor and living in stables. As the days passed, they became frustrated doing the same thing over and over again. Because their goal was to kill the Devil King, their first kill job was to kill toads. Aqua received a moral boost from the fact that she is a goddess and can easily handle them, and she watched Kazuma struggle and laughed at him, but when she tried it herself, she failed completely, and Kazuya had to save her, so they lacked some firepower in their team, so they posted a recruitment in the guild banner for their team. And there was one person who approached them about joining their party. Her name is Megumi, a crimson demon with a specialization in firepower. But when they tested it on that same toad killing job, they discovered that she could only use it once a day and became paralyzed afterward. It was completely hopeless, so Kazuma wanted to reject her into joining them, but she insisted because no one else would take her in. However, because she was covered in slime, people assumed that Kazuma had done something mischievous with them and was now abandoning them. So, when Megumi included this in her push, Kazuma had no choice but to accept her into the team in order to avoid further misunderstandings. So, while Kazuma was at guild, another person arrived to join Kazuya's party. Her name is Darkness. Kazuya experienced deja vu from the darkness as a result of his judging style. She is a crusader with nearly perfect defense, but she has never been able to land an attack on the target until now. Well, Kazuma was correct and wanted to discourage her from joining his party because he already had strange people like Megumi and Aqua, but Darkness wanted to join his party. However, the other day she was still insisting on joining, and when she was rejected, she began to enjoy it as if she was into this kind of kinky stuff. There, her friend named Chris made an entry, and her type was thief, and since Kazuma had some points, he wanted to learn some new thief skills, so Chris demonstrated her ability to steal by stealing his money. Kazuma attempted to reclaim his money from Chris by stealing her undies instead. In his eyes, it was a jackpot. Anyway, after returning to the guild, Aqua and Megumi met Darkness, and after seeing her stats, they agreed to let her join the party, which Kazuma strongly opposed, but when an announcement was broadcasted to gather at the town gate, Kazuma assumed it was something big, like a demon army or something. But it turned out to be a ridiculous-looking cabbage hunt. And yes, cabbage can fly in this world, so they flee the farm. So, in this case, Kazuya nailed it with his steal skills, and they also allowed Darkness to join in, despite what Kazuma had planned. And not long after that, Kazuma learned about the recent event. It was that one of the Devil King's generals was posted near the town, but he also had information from Luna that the kingdom would send their best knights to deal with him, so Kazuma not cared about it, and in the meantime, he accompanied Megumi to her spell practice because she passes out after using it. She made a castle her target, which she kept hitting day after day with her only explosion spell. After some time, they received another emergency call at the gate because the general of the devil appeared because his castle was blown every single day by someone, and it was Megumi, so she took responsibility for it, and seeing this, the headless knight forgave her and asked her not to cast any spell on his castle. But Megumi wanted to appear cool by provoking him and telling him she wanted to lure him out. When he heard this, he cast a death curse, and Darkness took it upon herself to save Megumi and left. But, because Aqua was present, lifting a curse was as simple as a snap of her finger. Once the problem was resolved, they realized they were broke. So Aqua chose a purification job of a lake full of monsters because she believed that just some skinship of her touch could purify the water. They then built a cage for her so that she could come into contact with the water without being harmed by monsters. Aqua sits still as they arrive because she believes that if she is in contact with water, she can purify it because she is a goddess. However, when monsters actually attack her, she begins casting Purify to save her sorry ass. After that terrifying experience, she became traumatized and refused to leave the cage. Then, as they approached town, another person who had been reincarnated as a hero by Aqua heard her sappy song and rushed in to save her. She regained her mood after realizing she was a goddess. Seeing how Kazuma treated Aqua, Kyoya wanted Aqua to join him instead, and he extended the same offer to Megumi and Darkness. However, they got a creepy vibe from him and rejected him. So he challenged Kazuma to a game of Goddess Aqua stakes. Then, instead of giving him a chance, Kazuma used his steel ability to defeat him with his own weapon. As a result, Kazuma accepted that blade as his prize for victory. The next day, he came to retrieve the sword because it was a magical sword bestowed by Aqua herself, a legendary weapon. But it was too late for him because Kazuma had already sold it for a low price, forcing him to flee for his weapon. So, after that, adventurers received another emergency summons because that headless knight of the Devil Kings returned to the town gate. What's the same old complaint about someone again blasting his castle? So now that the general of the Devil's King army has returned with the same complaint, what will happen now that Megumi has subscribed for the latest updates?